All right, welcome to Wise Up on Air. I'm Damian Kaspauer, product manager here at Audio Kinetic, working on Wise. And today we are talking Community Tools Spotlight. This is our third of 5 session talking about tools that bridge the gap between Wise and developer workflows created by the community. And I'm excited to talk about the summer of beta for Wise 2026.1 coming up. We'll be kicking that beta 1 off later this month. So get them tuned in and look for that announcement in the future. But in the meantime, we're here to talk about Malleant with Dhruv. Welcome to the live stream, Dhruv. Good to have you here today.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's so nice to be here. Hey everyone watching. My name is Dhruv from Freefall Interface and Audio, and yeah, I'm super excited to be here. Thanks so much, Damien.
Yeah, we're going to have a
Uh,
great time. I can't wait to show off all of the stuff that your new tool, Malleant, is doing. Again, bridging that gap between Wise, the game, and workflows that developers need. So, are you ready to jump in?
yeah, ready when you are.
Let's go.
Right. Awesome. So I've got a little bit of a presentation prepped up for this occasion. I'm going to start off by giving a little bit of an introduction to Freefall Interface, Freefall Audio, what I do, what I've done, so on and so forth. So it's all started with Freefall Audio, which was my game audio endeavor. We work with video game companies, give them audio, much like most of the audience here, frankly. And that kind of some of the workflows issues I had during my time kind of inspired me to think about like, okay, what more can we do? And actually, it was about 2 years ago when I first met you at GDC, when you first introduced me to the concept of WAPI. I remember you just saying like, just use WAPI. I was like, what's WAPI? And I went back home. It was like it was a explosion moment, right?
Amazing.
And at that point, I was also pretty fortunate enough to look at other community tools being made at that point, which was specifically Wise. And it gave me the idea that, you know what, YP is not just some enterprise level tool that Wise offers. It's also something that, people can use if they think about it, if they get to know about it, they can just use it. There's not really any barriers to that.
Yeah, and
And
unpacking that acronym, the Wise Authoring API, WAPI.
yeah,
Yeah, this
yeah,
connective tissue between Wise authoring and the ability to extend workflows outside of Wise with that interface.
yeah. And
Cool.
that kind of brought me to thinking about Maliant and thinking about this one particular use case about where I thought, I faced a lot of issues. And this is a presentation kind of explaining that.
Perfect.
So let me first start off by the why, the why Maliant. And I have this proverb that kind of explains it. It's called the 2 dB itch. And I mean by that is to say, we're working with our DAWs to record, to process, to make assets, and this could be happening. You could be the only one on your team doing this, or there could be other team members contributing to this, or there could be third-party vendors like myself, giving you assets, giving you dialogues, localization files. But we're doing a lot of creation in our DAWs, and that's kind of seeping into what's going into the game via a middleware or within the game engine itself for some. And more often than not, when you put all of these pieces of puzzles together and you're trying to make it fit as a sound designer, you're always listening to something, you're playing the game back and you're thinking, you know what? If I had 2 dBs of distortion on this, it would kind of pop. I would enjoy it more. Maybe I should take off the low end from that. And it's these kinds of mental conversations that designers have with themselves that kind of prompt them to think, okay, what can I do about this?
Yeah.
And today, what you can do about it is you can have that DSP or that chain on in Wise itself. Use the Wise stock effects, or you can think, okay, let me go back to my DAW and fix those and make the changes I want there. Uh, and let me tell you about some caveats I feel in both of these scenarios. So with Audio Kinetic options that you provide the DSPs, they're great. They do the job and they're perfect for dynamic effects, and you need them. But when it comes to non-dynamic effects, like for instance, if you're working on a gun and this one gun has maybe 100 assets on roll, and you're shooting and you realize, you know what, I want distortion all over 2 dBs of it to kind of punch through the mix. That 2 dBs of distortion that you put on your Y session, it's gonna be runtime. So every time your game runs, it's gonna process that distortion effect, even if it's mathematically just a +2.
Yeah.
It's gonna do that +2 every time that voice is initiated.
Yeah. Well, and it's not even your fancy, Sound Toys decapitator or your,
Yeah.
other kind of wave folding distortions, right? The kind of
Yeah.
tools that you have access to in your digital audio workstation.
Yeah, and that's the second benefit of it, which is the creativity bit of it.
Yeah.
And that you have access to all of that in your DAW, but it's definitely a pain point for me to say that, it's easy for someone to go back to the DAW, especially if they themselves have not done the DAW session.
Yeah.
When it's coming from a team member or a third party vendor, especially then. But even if not, I mean, you've got 100 assets in that gun store, and some of them might come from a Foley session, some of them might come from a processing session, a recording session, some trigger IR triggers might be somewhere else. So piecing that through can be problematic at times. And when you're making such in the moment changes to amplify the sounds, having time disruptions can really set you off.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the basis of Malian. It's that problem. I'm in the game, I like everything I've done, but it just needs an extra push here and there to kind of make sound. And I want to be able to do that quick. I want to be able to do that without strings attached in
Nice.
optimization.
Nice. Yeah. Getting
So
you closer
that's
to the
yeah,
game at runtime in context and putting that in your hands.
exactly.
Nice.
So now, that brings me to what is it? I told about why, what the problem is. So let me talk about what Malleant is and what it does to solve that issue. Now, Malleant works specifically in three stages, as I like to portray, which is the import or the WAPI stage, which is to query all of what you have in your Y session and kind of being able to access that in Malleant. The second bit is hosting VSTs. So, as a VST host, Maliant allows you to host VSTs as separate modules and then route them between each other however you want, which is another, I think, a benefit, which is parallel processing. So, within the
Yeah.
same chain, you have access to parallel processing, and that can benefit you creatively, I think.
Totally.
Um, Finally, once you're happy with what you've done, how you're happy with how it sounds in the game because you've done the prototyping live, Malian then takes over the batch processing end, which is let me fish out all the assets that are there that are relevant to what changes you want, put the DSP on them, and then fish it back out to the right places in your repository, and then put them in your Wise project respectfully. And
Perfect.
that's how Maliant is built. Um, By the way, the term malleant, it's new, but it comes from the word, if you've not already guessed, malleable, in the sense that things bend and change. And it's
Perfect.
kind of corny,
I
but
like it. I
I
like it.
like it. Okay, so here I've got a little bit of some tech talk so that people watching the stream can understand, how the blueprint of it works, get their heads around before I start into the demo. And this kind of, I talked about stages one, two, three, and this flowchart kind of demonstrates that one, two, three, because you can see that Malian is interacting with Wise on three different sections that are parallel to each other. So one is the query line, the WAPUs, the SQL queries, playback, play this, play that, pause this, mute this, solo this, right? The bridge, the Wise bridge, uh, and you've heard this concept before in a previous talk, but live audio buffers and
Hmm.
signals, and using things like shared memory for Windows and TCP/IP for Mac, um, because of how Wise is made. And we use these technologies and taking in buffers, and we've created this Wwise bridge, which is a plugin that sits in Wise that allows us to send signal out from each sound source, uh, and that sends it to Maliant. So for us, we can do a maximum of 16 live streams. So what that means is 16 wise bridge across your sources are transmitting buffers at the same time. So
Got
that's
it.
the maximum amount, but we think that no one kind of gets to that amount. It's
You're
not
usually
really
working
making.
on one sound at a time or a group of sounds. And so this
Yeah,
limitation is really just about keeping focus on a specific area of
yeah,
what you're working on.
exactly. And then you have the exports, which kind of works on your project repository. It has a file management aspect. And then once those files are exported, it then uses some WAPI commands to, inject those files into Wise as sources and so on and so forth. And you can see that it's Wise that's connected to the game engine, and then Malian kind of piggybacks on Wise.
Nice.
Uh, so yeah, demo time. Yeah,
Let's go.
great. Uh, so yeah, let me share my screen, change my screen share, and I will show you how Malian looks at open. Great.
Great. So
So
it's a standalone application that runs alongside Wise and the game. So a third application sitting in between. Or
exactly, and that we give you an installer. There's like a EULA and everything. So it's all
great.
prim proper. Uh, and the better part of it being a standalone application is that you know that if this crashes, Wise won't crash.
Right.
So
Yeah.
as a first time software like venture, we have to keep that in mind because we cannot risk someone using Malleant in Wise and Wise crashing.
Right. Right.
So yeah, uh, this is what Malleant looks, bare bones. And the first things you want to do when you first install Malleant is make sure that it's set in with your Wise projects. And how you can do that, Malleant takes care of it by itself. You go to the settings, you go to the licenses bit, and it shows you that you have to install in your Unity project, Unreal project, or Wise version. So you just click on browse, you select if it's 2019 to 2024 or 2025 plus, select on browse, and Malint opens a browser window showing your, wherever your Audio Kinetic files are located.
Yep.
So in this case, I know it's in C Audio Kinetic Wise version.
Perfect.
So let me just show you actually really quick. So Audio Kinetic, I've got 2025 selected. So
Great.
I'm just going to do 2025. You just select this folder and you press select folder.
Perfect.
And Malleant already takes care of the where to put what files, what bridges, everything. The same case for your Unity and your Unreal project. You just select the project and it will take care of where to put the Wise bridge.
Great. And that just
Yeah,
puts in place everything that Maliant needs to be able to run across Wise, your game engine, as part of the project.
exactly.
Great.
This from this point forwards, you don't really need to do anything in project or on the file level to kind of make sure that they're all working.
Perfect.
Great. So now I'm just going to do a mini demo as I've planned, where I kind of run through, what Malian does at a glance, so that you're kind of seeing everything from an eagle's eye. And then I'm gonna dive into, the intricacies of each and every bit, so that I explain like what certain features are, why they do it, just so that it feels more interactive.
Yeah. Yeah. Great.
Cool. So I'm gonna share a portion of my screen, and Damien, at any point, if you feel like you can't see something or read something, just let me
Okay.
know, and
Yeah.
I'll
Great.
increase.
Folks in the chat, great to have you here with us. Yeah, the intrusive 2 dB itch is too real. Yeah, we feel it here. But keep us posted out there and let us know how this is all landing for you on the screen. Or if you need any more details, just give us a shout.
All right,
All right,
perfect.
looking good.
So I've got the Wwise Adventure game open. This is the 2023 Wise version, and I've got the Unity version as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first make sure Wise is connected to my Unity project. That's good and running. Now I'm going to go to Unity and I'm going to, no, first I'm going to go to my Wise section here, and
Hmm.
you can see that Malleant automatically queries your entire Wise tree. So you're currently in your events view, so you see all the events listed. This is for me. I like this view because I think, events are the point at which Wise interacts with the game. So it's nice to
Yeah.
have them kind of listed out. But if you like your organization, think you're a picky eater for it, you can go to the folder menu and you get your work units.
Great.
So yeah, let me just do this really quick. We have a game running. Can you hear everything?
Sounds great. Music is
Okay,
cued.
perfect. So you can see the player, and she's doing all these. We're doing all the weapon swings, right?
Yeah.
And let's say you're kind of in the game and you realize, man, this weapon swing, it would be kind of better if it sounded like it was done by an 8-bit character in a in a 1980s Nintendo game. That's kind of the vibe I'm going for.
Yeah.
So what am I gonna do? So we have this little profiler section in Malian. It shows you, which events were done. So we can see the player weapon swing. If I double click on it, it will take me to it. So I
Nice.
know that this was the event that was played at that point that I really want to treat, right? And within the events menu, I can see my that it has two different containers. I'm just gonna send this to Maliant, right? When I send it, now Maliant is receiving live signal, and I'm gonna add some bit crush. And this is I've loaded in some plugins. I'll come to it really
Yeah.
soon. But now if I play it, right, it's on the live audio signal. And
Got
if I
it.
want to make changes, I've got my floating windows kind of over here.
Great.
You can make these changes. Maybe I go here.
Yeah, crush it.
Right? Like really, really dig into it. And let's say, you know what, you dig it. Damon, this is your favorite sound in the world. You're like, man, this rocks. I like being digitized and crushed into 8-bit. So now what do I do? All you have to do is go to export. It automatically locates, which files are located in which folder. So you don't have to worry about that. I'm just gonna do crush, rename. I can see what these files will look at. I'll do my settings. I'll press re-import into Wise and press export. And it's done, right? Wise is now updated with these events. And if I go into Wise, I'm going to share my screen, change up the screen to showcase Wise. If I go into my Wise and I look at player weapon swing and I go to exertion, I can see that it has added this crush, right? I'm
Ooh.
going to remove. I'm going to take this out. I'm going to close over here. This is after, and this is before.
Yeah, nice.
After, right? So you can go back whenever you want, and if you want this to be in the game, all you have to do is build the banks
That's
as
it.
you would.
Great. Or connect live and just have that live media transfer, push it over starting in 24.1.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
Exactly, exactly. So this is kind of at a glance to kind of show you. I talked about the problem. I talked about why we made this, and this was kind of the workflow answer to that. I was a bit verbose in some of these areas, but if you like had a preset, let's say that your team is going off of that, you know what, I want this delay on all of my dialogues. It's a little bit of like small delay just to give them a feel. Then you could probably do the same thing in less than a minute.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Awesome. And again, for that real-time tweak in context, now you can have that set aside, and your team can pick that up and use it as you've iterated on it in context as part of the game as well.
exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, and do you have any questions with this? And I could then move on to the individual aspects.
No, I mean, it's all seeming very clear. Malleant takes in sound that you route from Wise through a VST chain that you set up, and then brings it back to the game at runtime. and then you allow for the rendering of that directly as a source, puts it in place and makes it accessible.
Perfect. So now I'm gonna get into like the smaller details, talk about individual paradigms.
Great.
And feel free to tell me to speed up and at any point, I ramble.
No,
It's
you're
a
doing
bad
great.
thing. But
You're doing great. Again, it's a clear overview so far. Folks in the chat, drop any questions. We can carry those to the live stream, uh, but keep rolling.
okay, perfect. So first things first, as I said, if you load up Malleant and then you load up Wise and you don't see anything over here, all you have to do is press the refresh button and it'll refresh. So let me start from this point onwards, and I'm going to show. Um, Now we kind of see that okay, Malleant is mimicking what's there in Wise. So now I can just screen share Malleant, given
Sure.
that that fact has been established.
Yeah, we've got that tight coupling thanks to WAPI, and Maliant is able to see and understand and give you access to the sounds and events in your project.
Great. So we have this view over here, and again, we can go to the folder view, and this is our file folder path. So everything, events and so on and so forth over here. And let's start with the first things first, playback. What is playback? For me, what I really liked about, when I was making this is the fact that I can see not only my events and my virtual folders and what folders are they in, what work units they are in, but also in my events, which random container exists,
Yeah.
and in those random containers, which SFX objects exist.
It's a beautiful
And
way
then,
to see the hierarchy as it expands from the event to its targets, those containers and their sources. Nice.
yeah, this is really important because you need the flexibility to be able to like change at any level. When
Yeah.
you're thinking, oh, I want to affect this event, all you have to do is press send, and it sends automatically to everything inside of it. But when you don't want to send to the entire event, you can also play individual SFX where you feel the problem lies. By
Cool.
the way, can you hear that?
Yeah. Sounds good.
Okay.
Coin drop.
So, yeah, so you just do this one or you just send a particular one. You have your typical functions like mute solo. So if you want to mute solo, that works. It also works from our newly developed profiler section. So if you start capture, we're going to change the logo for this, make sure it's the Wise logo for capture. So it's a work in progress. But if I do this now, it will kind of show you which event was triggered and inside those event, which sound was triggered. So if I keep
Nice.
doing this, you know that, okay, you know, these are the problem ones.
Yep.
And
Yep.
for now, this holds to 30 seconds, but you can change that yourself. You can set how much it holds to.
Cool.
Um, so yeah, and you can clear it. Sure, stop there. Cool. Uh, so now that you've got, your playback and everything that's playing back currently is playing back through Wise. So I'm telling Wise, hey, play this event, play this sound, and Wise is taking care of it. So it's super low latency,
Yep.
right? Now that you've done that and you're thinking, you know what? I don't like this one particular coin. That one's not so nice. I think, I think it needs a little bit of pizzazz, a little bit of some oomph. Uh, so I've got a little preset here called the oomph, and you can load it in, and it kind of
Awesome.
shows you. You can also zoom it. By the way, there's shortcuts
Perfect.
so that you can do shortcuts. Anyways, so you could do oomph, or you and I together, we can create our new DSP chain. And so I can show you how that works. And you see this little card over here? That's our add plugin button. Uh, it's kind of inspired from Balatro and other card games.
Yeah.
Because surprise, surprise, I like video games. So, uh, something UI we wanted to do fun. So this is a card, and you go here, you can get all your VSTs, whatever you want. For this demo, I'm just going to stick with some kilohertz stuff. Bit crush because just it's very audible.
Yep.
EQ and maybe some flanger.
Yeah.
And I've selected them all and then add them. And
Cool.
again, they get added like hands in your deck. Then you can then play like Yu-Gi-Oh. But there's an actual reason for this as well. It's not just looking pretty. It's because when you're dealing with node-based softwares and you're creating a new node, it's important that the new node it doesn't get placed all the way to the right, all the way to the left. It's annoying to kind of fetch it and place it wherever you
Yeah.
want. In this case, you can see, okay, I want to do, EQ here, and they open up like this. You can also reduce their sizes into like pill forms.
Nice.
Uh,
And then
and you can set up the routing pretty simply. I can
nice.
add in, let's say I'll add in an export, right? And you
Great.
can do that with how many ever you want. So you can really go crazy with how many parallels you do.
Yeah, this is that
Uh,
parallel processing you were talking about. Nice.
exactly. Or you can also sum it. So I can add inputs as well between. So I can also sum many to one, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
and kind of go out. Another cool feature of it, I can show it if you want, but you can also visualize it. It's just if I just add, let's say, a meter here, like a Boolean meter and an analysis meter, and I select maybe 5 or 6 events, then what you get essentially is the analysis of just those 5 or 6 events without the use of a submixer or going
Yeah.
through a routing channel or an
Yeah.
aux track. So that's also something really nice to have. Specific, if you want to have details about loudness about a certain event, you can do that by just
Cool.
looking at certain aspects. So again, I'm just gonna really quickly do something that's oh, you can't see this. Share portion of screen. Cool. So I'm just gonna do something that's very obvious.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna do here, maybe lots of depths, great feedback, bit crush. Just gonna randomize this.
Cool.
Cool. So now you got the coin and you just press send. This is after and this is before.
Yeah, that's great.
After, before. Again, live signal, as we talked about. And this is the prototyping phase. And it was really important that this happens on the live signal
Yes.
because you need that ability to say, okay, I'm trusting what I hear, and that's how it's going to go. And
Yeah.
what you also notice is that these sends gets put on individual SFX objects because man's putting the bridge on all of them individually on their effects. Because we know when you export it, it's going to export, with the DSP on the SFX. So you want to hear on playback how it would sound like if it's the first thing on the SFX,
Perfect.
or if it, yeah.
Yep.
So that's just a little bit of routing tidbit. Again, let's say you're happy. We do this on all these sounds, and let's also do this on player hurt walks for the sake of it. And let's go to the export, right? And okay, right. So when we go to the export, we can see that these are selected, and it shows us, okay, these files, 3 files, are in this folder. These other files are in another folder. And this is taking straight from this asking Wise, like, hey, in this event, in these assets are in these events, where are they located in the repository? And you kind of take them in, you're happy, and you have a couple of options. So you can save assets in each original folder. So the on-hit files go to the on-hit folder, so on and so forth. Or you can do like save all new files in each original folder in a new folder. So version 2,
Yeah.
something like that. You could do save in a new folder in each parent folder. So
Hmm.
one layer up. Or if you're really devious, right? If you're really feeling the devil in you, you can go for all save all assets in one folder. That's also
Yeah.
an option for the people who want that. So that is taken care of. And you can see over here export modes. Right now it's offline, so that means it picks up the file, puts the DSP on it, prints it, sends it out. You can do a live export. That means it runs Maliant individually for each event, for each SFX object, and it records it live. It records the buffer live.
Got it.
That means if you have any audio kinetic effects before Maliant in the signal chain leading up to Maliant, those will also be printed
Great.
onto.
Yeah.
So in case you're doing like a mass export, you want to just make sure you You've got all your non-dynamics, they're all from Audio Kinetic, and you just want to do the printing process. You can leave the DSP open, like blank, just press live and print it on. Uh, Another thing, Maliant supports perforce. So
Hey,
a lot of your users are big teams. They use Perforce. It's an industry standard. So if you click on Perforce add, it will know which files are in a Perforce repository, amend those files to have the P4 add command or P4 edit command so that when they show up for team members, it's editable. It's not just view only. That's
perfect.
something.
Yeah,
We have the renaming section. You rename, pretty standard options. My favorite one is the version number. So just add VER, increment by 1, and you rename, and you get to see a preview of how all the files will look like before you export, before you comment. Just in case you feel the need for, oh, you know what, BAS evil spit plant, this particular one, yeah, I want to call it something else. So I want to do like, uh, over here, I can click over here. This one is different and enter.
excellent.
So now that one is different. Cool. That's out of the way. Then you do secondary drive. So secondary drive is a feature where outsourcing studios like myself, we have a client repository and our own repository. And I'm trying to make sure both of my repositories are in sync, just so that my own repository, which is a backup, never kind of goes, awry. So the secondary drive feature allows you to sync that. It allows you to save a primary folder and a secondary folder and export based on like sync exported only. So that when you export, both the exports go to both the places at
Great.
the same time in
Yeah,
the same hierarchy. So you can do that. Normal things like normalization, make sure that if you've added gain, you've added distortion, you want to make sure that's within standards. Go for LUFS or peaks. Add fades if you want. Um, you can choose to keep the source file settings. So 96 stays 96, 48 stays 48, respectfully. Each file is treated respectfully. Or you can say, nah, I don't want that. That's kind of lame. I want to do everything MP3
yeah.
because that's how my studio rolls. Uh,
Hey.
you could do that, but no, we're not gonna do that. And then, and then you can press re-import to middleware and export, and it's done.
Great.
The
Well,
rest of the process.
those set of exporting tools feel like a Swiss Army knife for being able to make those kind of, you know, small and large adjustments to the content sets as you're rendering them out of through the pipeline.
Yep,
That's great.
exactly. And that kind of captures the basic sense of what Malin does. The last part of this small demonstration is about, tools before Wise and after this, just to kind of show you how Malin cleans up after itself.
Great.
But just in case you have any questions up until this point, I'd love to answer.
Just good comments from folks in the chat. It looks like it makes life so much easier. A lot of quality of life improvements since the beta tests of
Yeah.
Malleant. So kudos to that. And yeah, you want to take us through the last few things here?
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. So again, I'm just going to be very, fast with this. Um, so what did I mean before Wise? You know, uh, since Malleant is a batch processing tool, and we're thinking in Wise, people are kind of assembling assets from everywhere and putting them in. There's always going to be a QA process before that. And for most audio people, QA is less about the file names, looking at the file folder, and more about, hey, is this clipping? Is this too loud? Have you sent me maybe 5 files hidden within 1,000 that are problematic? That's kind of where it's at least for me.
Sure.
So with Maliant, what you can do is before you import Wise, you can just check them. You can check, hey, I've got these files. You can load them in as folders. It loads them in as your folders. And check them based on certain conditions. You can analyze these files, and by analyzing, you can run them. You can see, which formats they're in, what LUFs, what RMS values they hold, what's the true peak, what's the minimum values, just in case you want to judge dynamic ranges in let's say dialogues. You want to make sure that Nothing's either too dynamic or too little dynamic, or judged for over compression or not. Things like that. So yeah, that's some of the audio metrics. But a cool thing you could do is add conditions. So you can search based on a lot of these things. So name, file export. I'm not gonna go through everything, but I'm just gonna go for the one that I find the most useful, which is looking at faulty channels. So let's find files where the channels where some files have an empty channel.
Right.
So now I know that, oh, these files in my tree have an empty channel. And at the same time, let me find files where the channels are they have identical channels, means the left and the right are the same. And I'm going to do display results matched any. So if they match any of these conditions, and I can see that these kind of exist, right? All of these are the files that I want to fix.
Yeah.
So what I can do is maybe move them to a virtual folder, call them uh, problem childs, create those, right? And I want to get rid of everything else that doesn't match this. So I'm going to remove unmatched files from my import. And now I'm just going to import these files. So now, you've got just the problem child, and I'll play it for you. So seagulls, for instance, uh, you see it's only left.
Left channel only.
Right. And DM, I mean double mono. That's what I did to kind of. This is a test file. So
Sure.
yeah. And cool thing about the import menu is you can also set the folders to have their own play modes. So kind of mimicking how they would be in Wise. Random container, sequence container, blend container.
Fun.
Just in case if you have like a new folder and you move a file to that folder, and you want to set these two as different, you know. So when you do global playbacks, they will both trigger at how they're supposed to trigger.
Cool, cool.
Now that I've talked about before, let me just quickly go over after. So you've used Maliant a ton, and you're happy with how it sounds in the game, but your audio director comes up to you and says, "You know what, Dhruv, you've put in so many unused sources, it's kind of bugging me. It's really annoying, right?" So what you do is you go and you click on Wise cleanup tree, because good people always clean up after themselves. That's what we say. That's what we believe in. And what you do
Facts.
is you just select your work unit, right? And why Malleant just kind of query your entire session and look at all of the your sound sources and what sources they are using. Now this is a very long list. I don't want a full long list. I just want to see which ones have empty containers, unused sources, right? So I'm gonna go to those. Just show only containers with unused sources, and here we see all of the ones where we kind of changed something, added something, and assuming this entire game is supposed to be like an 8-bit sound and everything is supposed to be bit crushed to hell and back, I'm just gonna take off the windmill. Okay, I don't want windmill to be affected, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna take that off. And I'm just gonna delete all unused sources. It's gonna give me a small thing where it's permanently delete. This is a permanent operation, right? I
Sure.
mean, you can go back with your version control, but yeah.
Yep. And we've all gotten to that part of a project where there is content littered throughout that is unused, and we could really stand some clarity with what's actually being used in the game. And so this seems like a great way to get an eagle eye on it and see what you can clean up from that view.
Yeah. And
It's awesome.
now those unused sources are gone,
Cool.
right? And in that unused sources file menu, you could also like switch which ones are being used. That's also option. You can also trigger some to kind of just hear them, make sure that's the correct one. But that kind of brings me to the end of the demo phase. Uh,
Awesome.
yeah.
Well, that was fantastic. And again, like from the as working backwards, the import, the export, the real time shaping of sounds, it all works in concert, in between where your sound design starts and where the game and its playback through Wwise begins. So it's a great
Yeah.
demonstration, Dhruv. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much for having me. And I mean, no code gets shipped, so no licensing issue. None of our code gets shipped, so
Yeah.
don't worry about that. You're covered. Uh, these some final thoughts. Most people end up asking, Malleant is not a DAW. It's not going to replace your DAW. It has always some benefits over some other things, but here and there. You can all anyone who's watching can download the beta at this, from this link, or you can also contact me if you feel you want to like get to know something better, you want a demo. Always happy to do that, you know. And don't worry about like if you're in a big team and you have a legal team that's on your head. We have the data privacy and the all of this written, right?
Yeah,
So
great.
so that's there.
Fantastic. Well, it's been a gift to have you here today, presenting on Malleant. Great
Hmm.
overview, and thanks so much for being part of the community and building these tools for developers out there who are looking for ways to supercharge their workflows. Reach out to Dhruv and get your hands on Malleant. As a software developer, we know that the feedback that you give is important. So let them know how this could land in your pipeline. And
Yeah.
Dhruv, way to go. Thanks for that. And this has been Community Tools Spotlight on Wise Up on Air. We got a couple more of these coming up. So stay tuned for more community tools. And thanks again,
Thank you so
Dhruv.
much.
All right.
And thanks for having me. Thanks for doing this.
All
See ya.
right. Until next time.